Well, here we are, Season 3 at Leeds United. Still a Premier League team. If you missed yesterday's end of season finale, it's well worth your watch. Obviously, having just said still a Premier League team, you know the overall outcome of it, but certainly still worth your watch purely for the drama alone. We find ourselves a couple of days into the new season, actually, as I need to get a couple of things sorted out in the meantime. I've sorted some contracts, so I still have a couple of players that need to have renegotiations done. Forshaw and Pablo Hernandez. Their contracts are expiring in 12 months' time. To be fair, Pablo Hernandez is probably going to retire, so I'll probably lean away from offering him a new deal again. But Forshaw, I certainly will. And whether that be to keep him at the club as a squad player or to move him on, we'll wait and see. So, where are we? We need to take just a step back, have a look at the squad and the club as a whole and really figure out what it is that we need to do to get ourselves away from relegation battles and fights to top half finishes and beyond. As we stand at the beginning of this season, we weren't able to bring anything other than £15 from a wage budget into this year. So financially, we're not as well off as we were last season. Our budget last year was 60-ish. Today, it stands at about 47. So we do have less money to try and improve the side. I've gone through and added a number, and I mean a large number of players onto the shortlist already, purely from players that are transfer listed in Europe's top divisions and some of the free agents. I'll also be adding to that, thanks to your suggestions, in the comment section of today's episode. We have about £6.5 million to be made from a pre-season tournament if we can win it. It's not the easiest, but the one that I selected was the easier of the three. And they were like 6.6 million prize money, 6.7 and 6.8. So it just made sense to go for the easier one. Feyenoord, Schalke and Torino in our group to start things off. So I am really unsure as to what to do with the team. What the board want from us this year, we'll quickly run through that before we delve into the squad. Youth development wise, they want me to sign 2 players with potential of over 75 and increase their overall by at least 10 points. Now I've sent my youth scout out again, this time to look for technically gifted players. Last year we looked for physically strong and we basically only got centre backs and CDMs. Scouting for technically gifted, I'd like to think we'll get a wider array of positions that we could potentially pull from for this particular high priority board expectation. And then the second one is grow one youth academy player by at least 10 overall points. Obviously by doing the first one, we'll be able to do the second one and then obviously play them in 5 matches. And we could just do that starting them either in the 11 in a cup game or bringing them on as a sub in the last 5 minutes. That's easily done, that's easily achieved. If, of course, we find the right youth players by searching. The board would like me to sign 1 crucial first team player to a midfield or forward position. That should be easily done. And £25.5 million from shirt sales, that will easily be done as well. And we didn't have too much problem doing the brand exposure expectations last year, which was good news. Domestically, just a mid-table finish this year. Only short-term expectations, although they would like us to go one further in the FA Cup this year and reach the round of 16. Last year we got knocked out in the round of 64, and the year before that we got knocked out in the round of 32, which was what the board wanted from us. This year they want me to go one step further and reach the round of 16. We should be able to do that, provided the draw is kind to us. So, the most important thing to think about at this stage is, what do we do to the playing staff? That's where we weren't good enough last year. We just didn't have the quality of player to have a comfortable enough season. We gambled and spent all of the money we had in January, every single last penny, on Ryan Kent. That was a gamble that didn't necessarily pay off. There is room for improvement pretty much everywhere in the team. Last year we went for the realistic route of signing experienced players that had, a number of years of experience in the Premier League, or just a first team football regularly at a similar level, with Ryan Kent, with James Milner, obviously Danny Rose as well, and we brought in Gazaniga to be our starting goalkeeper, who was a significant improvement on Kiko Casilla. Now, I've added a number of players to the transfer list. I am looking to sell a number of players. I've had an offer come in for Click and for Leif Davis. I'm going to be negotiating / accepting both of these right off the bat. Liam Cooper is going to be sold. I'm looking for a first-team centre-back. Stuart Dallas will be sold. I'm looking for potentially a first-team right-back, if not a rotation right-back. Miazek is being sold. Don't need to worry about replacing him. However, you'll see once we get to the shortlist, there are a couple of goalkeepers that might be a further improvement on Gazaniga, meaning we could potentially sell him and upgrade there. And Che Adams was another gamble that didn't really pay off, so I'm looking to sell him on and bring in another striker too. Also looking to loan a number of players also. J. Roy Grote, Edmondson and Alfie McCalmont are all on the loan list, and it won't for some reason let me remove them from the loan list. Every time I click remove from loan list, it backs out as it normally would do, but they're not actually removed. If I go to Bagouche and hit remove from transfer list, it actually removes him. If I do the same for McCalmont, he just disappears, reappears, and then he's still there. And that's the same for Edmondson and for J. Roy Grote as well. So I can't sell Alfie McCalmont, and I would very much have liked to have sold Alfie McCalmont to raise some extra funds. So that's slightly frustrating, but we shall deal with it as best we can, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I'll relist Bogusz onto the shortlist, onto the loan list, sorry. So, as we mentioned, we're looking to potentially upgrade at goalkeeper. I'll go into the players I've got on my shortlist that are on the transfer list in a moment and show you those. Engel's not yet good enough for the starting lineup. Not at this stage, especially with only having 65 positioning and 67 handling. He's not Premier League quality yet. Miazek we will sell, and Gazaniga probably could be improved upon in this window. Danny Rose was okay for me last year, and I'm happy to keep him on as a backup, but I think I might like to improve at left back. Basically, we conceded too many goals last year, and we didn't score enough. So, with minimal funds, I know 50 million sounds a lot, but in the Premier League era, it's minimal funds, and needing a multitude of players to improve the squad, we're going to have to be clever with money if we're going to get the right quality of player to help us improve significantly this season. Danny Rose will be a backup. I might consider selling him on. I'll need your feedback there. Alioski, for now, can continue on as a backup, but I might consider selling him on and keeping Danny Rose. It depends. Leif Davis, I'm going to sell. He's just not going to advance enough to really stand a genuine chance of being involved in long-term first-team football here at the club. And obviously, Elliot Price is a youngster. He's 6'7", probably going to use him at centre-back more so than left-back. And but still, 62 rated. He's not really good enough to get involved as of yet. At centre-back, I have Ben White, starting centre-back. Jairo Riedveld, current starting centre-back, but I would like another first-team centre-back to start alongside Ben White. I have Pascal Struijk, the Dutchman. He doesn't look very good, so I'm going to add him to the loan list. And Liam Cooper, who I'm going to look to sell now. He's 29. He underperformed last year. Wasn't that strong for me. Certainly, we weren't as good with him in the team as we were without him in the team. So, I think it's the right thing to do, unfortunately for the club captain. At right back, like I mentioned, Stuart Dallas is being sold. Fredericks, I'm happy for him to continue on as starting right back, but if we have the money and can improve, then we might well do so. At centre mid, Click is going to go. Calvin Phillips will still start alongside currently James Milner, but I'm contemplating giving Jamie Shackleton a start alongside Calvin Phillips, and hopefully he can have another solid season for us. Milner will stay, obviously. Adam Forshaw is currently just here for squad numbers, but should we have the opportunity to bring in centre mids of quality, then potentially we could sell him or use him in part of a deal. Bagouche will go out on loan. In the cam role, Tyler Roberts will continue to start for now. Pablo Hernandez is just a squad player now, unfortunately for him. Jack Clark, Jared Bowen and Ryan Kent are all players that will continue to be involved in the first team picture out wide, but I am open to bringing in another winger, depending on what you guys think. Ryan Kent wasn't amazing as a starter, but I'm feeling that with his sheer pace, if we were to improve in the starting lineup at left wing and use Ryan Kent as an impact substitute, we'd actually get more from him. So I'd be open to signing a new winger as well. And then obviously Che Adams we're going to sell, and currently Callum Wilson would be my only option at striker, so I'm going to need a striker as well. Now, speaking of striker, in real life, Leeds have just loaned Jean-Kevin Augustin from Leipzig for the remainder of the season with an option to buy for 17 million, not necessarily an obligation to buy. So I don't know whether I'll get Jean-Kevin Augustin in this save or not. Obviously, we would like at some point in the future to sign Erling Braut Haaland, to bring him in, as he was born in Leeds. His dad played for Leeds. He's a Leeds fan. It makes sense that he should at some point play for Leeds. But we're not in the point of our club history or club progression that we can really realistically bring in Haaland at this stage. So he's our future striker. Jean-Kevin Augustin, I'm open to, but I don't know how much he's going to cost. Don't know if he's going to be any good. We'll wait and see. Another potential option at striker is Alan Carvalho, although he's 31. But this is the situation we find ourselves in at the minute. Young players that would help us over multiple seasons are too expensive for me right now. I find myself in a similar position to last year, where I'm going to be looking at players that are 27 and older to have a 1 or max 2 season impact on the team, whilst we try and inch our way up the table and earn more money to then be able to bring in the younger or more experienced, higher rated players. We're still looking for... If I only needed 1 or 2 players to improve the team, I could sign 2 youngsters for 30 million each and not worry about it. But we need multiple players in multiple positions for multiple seasons, really. So I'm going to have to be very, very cautious and careful with how and where we spend our money. Meaning, I'm going to have to lean towards slightly older players for slightly lower transfer fees to be able to bring in the number of players that we need to. So you can see here, just on this list, 31, 27, 30, 28, 33. We're looking at players of that age currently. I'm obviously open to your feedback, and if you have a youngster that you think could be good, that wouldn't cost that much, obviously hit me with those suggestions. We had over 1,000 in the last transfer window. But everybody here, apart from Haaland, is on the transfer list. So they all are available for transfer, provided we can get decent fees for them. So Jahan Baks out on the either side of the wing from Brighton is a potential. Lucas Vasquez I've got here as well from Real Madrid. Obviously wages are going to be a bit of an issue for him, and he's quite expensive, though obviously as you can see they would be available for less than he's currently valued at. Similarly, Jahan Baks, similarly everyone basically is going to be cheaper than they currently look because they're on the transfer list. Florian Thauvin would be one of the more expensive options and one of the higher rated options we could look at, but that would be one hell of a deal and it would really take a big hit to our finances. Razin Angolan, yes, he's aging, but I think he'd still be absolutely brilliant for us. Again, wages and value would be an issue. Nathan Redmond I'm looking at and contemplating. Wilfred Zaha is transfer listed, but again, slightly expensive at over 20 million, but an option. We've got Benito Raman, or Rahman. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't know if he's any good. His low strength does concern me with the fact that we've been struggling strength-wise with the AI recently. Ivan Perisic is a player that would be slightly cheaper. Yes, he's 32, but I could maybe utilise him in a central role and move Tyler Roberts out wide, is what I'm thinking there, maybe. But he'd certainly be great and an improvement for at least one season. Gini Wijnaldum in the middle. Again, wages and price might be an issue, although it says we could be able to get him down towards the £15 million mark. And again, another all-rounder would be a great player to have at the club. Abdoulaye Doucouré is available as well from Manchester City. Now, he would be a significant improvement on anyone we've got at this stage. Jetro Willems, potentially at left back. although he's not that fast, but technically looks pretty decent. Ryan Bertrand, another left back we could look at. He's quite cheap. He's kind of similar to Danny Rose, though, so I'm unsure. Levan Kurzawa is transfer listed at PSG, and he's cheap. He's not the fastest, but Levan Kurzawa could be a really, really solid signing for us. Christian Gunter at Freiburg is transfer listed. I don't know much about him, but I'm wanting to scout him to see what we can find out. Nico Schultz is available, although he's more expensive, and I probably wouldn't want to spend that sort of money on a left back at this stage, but he's there as an option. Nicholas Nkulu really intrigues me at centre back. He's 81 rated. Physically, he's still pretty damn decent. Technically, he's much better than what anyone else we've got as well, and he's agreeable fee-wise and wage-wise, very agreeable. So that's a genuine potential there at centre-back. Simon Kjaer at Sevilla, I'm unsure about, but he was on the transfer list. He's currently in talks with Juventus, which says to me, probably good enough. A youngster in the free agents. 4-star skills, 5-star weak foot. He's currently valued at £7 million at 19. Physically looks pretty decent. Technically could do with improving, but he could be superb in 2 seasons' time with training or with a loan spell. At right back, Cristiano Piccini, currently at Valencia still, could be a good option. Not that expensive. Daniel Vass, I'd more utilise him at centre mid. I wouldn't use him as a right back, but because he's down as a right back, his value isn't that high. So that could be a genuine good option for us. Jesus Corona, 4-star skills, 5-star weak foot. He's down as a right back. He's more of a winger, but he's quite expensive. Although his wages aren't quite as much. Serge Aurier, he's down as a potential transfer listed right back. Wait and see what you guys reckon to that. Oscar DeMarcos, cheap and probably very effective at right back. Santiago Arias, similarly effective, a little bit more expensive. Then in goal, I was looking at Sergio Rico. He's relatively cheap, and he's probably going to be better than Gazzaniga, but I would have to probably compare their stats first. We'll wait and see. I also have Ralph Farman on the list because he's pretty cheap, and again, could be an improvement on Gazzaniga. And then there are 2 youngsters, 6'1", James Miller. He's valued at 14.5 million as a young goalkeeper. 14.5 million. So even if that's just a money-making opportunity to maybe sell our other Scout Future Star young goalkeeper from season 1, who's now valued in the 20-odd millions, to bring in James Miller to then start to train him, I don't know. Potentially. And then I've got Cheo Grady as well, another youngster that's valued at 2.9. I'm just not sure. I'm really not sure. So I'm gonna, as ever, we will simulate our way through the pre-season tournament. Captaincy suggestions are fine. Interest shown in Kier, we know about that. These are all the players that they're just basically responding to what we've done with regards their transfer status. And then I do need to go and have a look at those bids for... Where are you going, Tez? You want office? No, you don't. Where do I want? I do want office. I want emails. It's because it said no new notifications. I get myself confused. Right. I'm obviously going to turn down any offers for Ben White. He's staying. But Leif Davis, I'm just going to accept that straight off the bat. And similarly with Click. I'm just going to accept that straight off the bat and hope that those deals go through. Our end of season review from last year, they weren't that happy with me, but they were happy for me to continue, thankfully. We didn't get the sack. We shall wait and see how things go in this pre-season tournament and see if we can actually earn ourselves a decent amount of extra money. James Milner gives us a 1-0 early lead, which is good news in the opening game. Now again, as ever, do continue to leave me your feedback in the comment section for this episode. I won't record episode 2 until I've seen your feedback from this first one. I will push our way through the January transfer window. This year, I'm not sure if I will play every single game. Last year we did, and obviously the season was a little bit longer than usual, and there was a little bit of discontent. 7 weeks for Danny Rose, wonderful. Well, I probably do need a left back then. So I'm unsure as to whether to have this season be a similar length to last year, or whether to speed the season up a little bit with the Barcelona want Edmondson on loan. Okay. Whether to speed things up with the kind of play 3 games per month and sim the rest model that we had in previous series. Again, I'll take your feedback on board for that. But with a win from the first game, unfortunately a missed penalty from Milner there to start things with, a yellow card. But Tyler Roberts gets on the score sheet with a lead here. Milner! Come on, James. Don't do that to me. Just lost Danny Rose for crying out loud. For 7 weeks, I could do without you getting suspended. Ryan Kent's actually having an impact. Down to 9 men. That's never happened in a simulated game for me before. We've had 2 men sent off and still we improve our lead. Well, that's a first for a Chesnoy Gaming career mode. He's out for 2 games because of a straight red rather than the 2 Click sold and Davis sold. A loan offer for J. Roy Grott, which is accepted. Right then, transfer offer for Shea Adams, £15.4 million from Galatasaray. I shall negotiate slightly. I'm not going to be able to maximise a deal because obviously he's transfer listed. They know that. They won't want to pay a massive amount of money for him. I shall counter at 20. I can't remember off the top of my head what we paid for Shea Adams. They will accept 20. I'm happy enough with that. I'm happy with 20. Genuinely can't remember what we paid for Shea Adams, but I don't think it was that high. You'll have to work to get there, Robbie. But we'll wait and see if you're any good. Also replace the 2 suspensions. Nalioski's now drafted in at left back. And J. Roy Grott is in on the on the other side of things. And unfortunately into the centre of midfield as well. The squad is obviously going to be slightly low on numbers as we look to sell players on to maximise our transfer funds to then replace those players that are outgoing. But we should be able to get transfers in before we reach the competitive season. And this draw will see us through to the knockout stages of that pre-season tournament. So we'll be able to add a little bit more money to our transfer budget. Another 1.2 million. James Milner's suspension is complete. Good. He can come back into the starting lineup then. I can delete that preset because Leif Davis is no longer with us. If there's anyone else you think I should start training, then do let me know. As we mentioned yesterday, Calvin Phillips hasn't grown perhaps as much as we might have liked him to. So potentially we could start to train him and try and improve his overall rating. A £4.3 million bid from Newcastle for Liam Cooper. I'm not sure that Steve Bruce is kind of taking the piss there. I'd like valuation at the very least. I mean, come on now. I know he's 29 and I know he's transfer listed. 5.5, you're getting there. Now, if you will just give me the 6, we can call it a day and you can have him. Thank you, Steve. He might take the piss to start with, or maybe just been a little bit cheeky with the opening bid, but he was willing to negotiate. So I'm not as annoyed at Steve Bruce as I potentially could have been there. Still, Alioski will continue on at left back, as Danny Rose is still out injured. He should be back though, Danny Rose, before the end of the transfer window. So if we do want to sell him on, or you guys reckon I should replace him, then I still could, because he would be available to be sold in the last 2 weeks-ish of the transfer window, considering he got injured right at the very beginning of July. Milner's missed a penalty, but hopefully that's not going to cost us. It's not, as Jared Bowen adds a third. We're through to the final of the pre-season tournament. More money added to the transfer budget. Another £2.1 million. Calvin Phillips is now back and available to be in the first team squad again. And it's PSV we have in the pre-season final. A loan offer for Alfie McCalmont. I'm going to reject. I'm just going to wait and see if I get any transfer bids for McCalmont. If I do, brilliant, then I'll sell him. If I don't, then I will actually loan him out. Now, I've been waiting on scout reports for ages. A loan offer for Tej Bagus, which we should accept. I haven't had any email reports of those scout reports coming back, but some of them, the majority of them actually, were like 6 days, and we've definitely progressed more than a week now. So I'd like to think that we can have a closer look at some of those players in the shortlist, and we'll actually have a much better idea of what they're valued at and what their rating is. Particularly the goalkeeper one is a weird one, because I don't know whether Gazzaniga needs to be moved on. He was very good for me last year and certainly kept me in a number of games. Sean Maguire, I think that is, coming on for PSV off the bench and scoring. But we win on penalties. We win our pre-season tournament, so we maximise our potential prize money there. Another £3 million-ish added to the transfer budget. So, as we stand now, we should have a pretty healthy budget to go and attack this transfer window with. We started on about 47 or 48. We sold Shea Adams for 20, and 15 of which has gone into the transfer budget. I'm hoping we're going to be upwards of 70 million, which indeed we are. So, with the right sales, we've raised a decent amount of money. Now then, what do we do with regards to incomings? Let's have a look at these players' ratings then. So, James Miller even, is 69 rated and looking pretty decent as a young goalkeeper. I could then sell on my other German scout future star for a big profit to help fund this window. I think that is the right thing to do, but I will hold off and wait for your feedback first. But I think that might be the right thing to do, just to make sure we have enough money at our disposal to improve the team as much as we need to. Sergi Rico, I'd be 80, 77, 78, 80, 76. Now, what are Gazzaniga's stats? That's the most important thing here. 79, 78, 76, 78. Kicking's obviously drastically improved, but Sergi Rico is a better goalkeeper than Gazzaniga. So I personally, at this stage, am leaning towards buying Sergi Rico and selling Gazzaniga. Probably actually leaning to sell Gazzaniga and our German scout future star Engel to bring in both Miller and Sergi Rico. Let me know in the comments section. Ralph Farman, he's probably decent too, and half the price, but his wages are more expensive. But of course, everybody here, again to reiterate, is on the transfer list, so should be available for less than their current listed fee. With regards to right backs, Serge Aurier looks like a decent option, but he is expensive. Arias, expensive-ish, but would be a good option. Oscar De Marcos, cheaper, certainly cheaper, and would probably do a very good job for us. He might be a goer. Yes, he's 32, but might help bring in the number of players we need to. Corona, we weren't really looking for or looking to as a right back, but maybe he is 20. He is expensive. Daniel Vass as a potential centre mid. I really don't think I'd utilise him as a wing back. As a potential centre mid for about £10 million. That could be a good one. Piccini, he was slightly cheaper. He's slightly younger at 28 as well. He's not as fast as I hoped he would be. I'm going to remove Piccini. I don't think that one is a go-up. I'm leaning towards Oscar De Marcos there, or maybe Santiago Arias. But, of course, Fredericks is still good enough. But obviously, either of these two could play at left-back. So, potential there. The centre-back here, Nelson Uribari, is actually gone to Blackpool now, so we're going to have to take him off the shortlist. Simon Kjær, still in contracts, talks with Juventus. I'm not sure. I'm still leaning towards Nkulu. I really am heavily leaning towards Nkulu as a centre-back. Levan Kurzawa. I reckon that could be one that we could really realistically do as well. So at the minute, Nkulu, Kurzawa, De Marcos or Arias, and Sergi Rico and James Miller are ones that I'm thinking of moving forward with from this list. Christian Gunter, 76 acceleration, 88 sprint speed. We have better alternatives, I think. Better alternatives. Right then. Oh, Nico Schultz was obviously expensive. Actually, yeah, Beto Willems. Oh, he's not that quick though. He is good technically, however. Oh, I'm unsure. Centre mid, Gini Wijnaldum, obviously we knew his rating previously, and Abdoulaye Toure. Another look at the other centre mids. Oh, I didn't really. I was only Raja Nangolan. We knew his rating anyway. Raja would be superb. It'd be unbelievable, Raja Nangolan for us. Wingers, Nathan Redmond, 4-star skills, still very, very quick at 27. Lower strength, but good technically. So potential there, but he is quite expensive. Wilfred Zaha, obviously his quality goes without saying, but again, quite expensive. Benito Raman. Probably better options. I'll remove him. Again, his strength was really an issue for me. Ivan Perisic would be available cheaper than the others. Maybe to move Tyler Roberts out wide. I'm unsure. Jahan Baksh. Certainly a lot cheaper and will be available for about £6.5 to £7 million. So very cheap option. Florian Thauvin obviously is more expensive, but the highest rated player we've got on our shortlist. Lucas Vasquez, cheaper, about £11 to £12 million. Wages would be an issue though, but certainly an improvement on what we've got. Now, Jean-Kevin Augustin was the one that we wanted to really have a look at, and actually he looks like he could be very good. Will they let me loan him? No. So it would have to be a permanent purchase for Jean-Kevin Augustin if we bring him in. But I am open to doing that, if you guys think I should. And then Alan Carvalho, 83 acceleration, 83 sprint speed, 88 agility. He looks decent. 79 finishing. He's not amazing technically, but as a cheap option, he could be a good backup to Callum Wilson. There is a lot to think about. Our first game of the season will be Aston Villa on the 6th. With Everton, West Ham and Arsenal for the remainder of the window. Your feedback is very much needed. Please do let me know what you think of the players on my shortlist. And if you think there's anyone else I should add to it, then I shall. Do please bear in mind, yes, I have 73 million, but I need to bring in 4, 5 or even 6 players in this window. I can't go and spend 40 million on a marquee signing. It's not an option. So please don't offer me players that are that expensive, because I just will ignore the suggestion. It's not possible for me to sign someone like that. That's where we'll leave it for today. There is a lot to talk about with you guys in the comment section. I'll be in there as well, responding to you guys as we push through. But for now, that's all for today's episode. Welcome to Season 3. We're aiming to improve on last year. At this stage, that's my only aim. But as the season progresses, we can hope to improve yet further. But we'll wait and see and play it by ear. Thank you very much for watching. Do make sure you've hit the like button. Do make sure you're subscribed and you've got the notification bell ticked or notified, clicked on, so that you get a notification every time a video goes live. And I will see you tomorrow for episode 2.